Hello and welcome to Master It Monday. I am your host, Maggie Carey. On today's episode, we have a very special guest who's going to help us build relationships on our social media. So I have the honor of introducing you to Jordan Abaroa. He is on a mission to help business owners, entrepreneurs, and dads out with the time they spend on their business and cut it in half. I would like to cut it in half. So I'm without further ado, I'm going to bring Jordan right up on so you can get to meet him. Hey, Jordan, how are you?
Doing it so good, Maggie. Good to talk to you. Happy to be on and excited. I'm stoked to be here.
I am so excited. I want you to tell our audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like she said, I introduced myself, but my name is Jordan Abaroa, and here's the truth, right? I believe that the greatest and most important impact that can ever be created in this life will happen within the walls of your own home, right? And it's just really fancy way of saying that no matter what success we find outside the home, it can't compensate for failure inside of it. Now, here's what I've also really recognized is that as business owners, if we don't focus on our business, then we can't actually be at home. It's this weird kind of catch-22. We find ourselves in between a rock and a hard place. And so what I have done for, close to a decade now is help business owners and entrepreneurs leverage the power of automation, systems, processes, CRMs, robots, software that is out there to cut the time they spend in their business in half. And I got really, really clear that the reason why I love doing that so much is because I want to help entrepreneurs and especially dads be more present and impactful at home. In another life, I was also a football coach, and I recognized how much of our youth, our young people these days are lacking leadership at home. I'd have an amazing conversation with a young man. My son would go play football. My daughter would go do different things. They'd have amazing experience. Then they'd go home and their parents were so stuck in their business, they couldn't be present in their life. And that for me was everything and so important. And that's why we created everything that we're doing now, right? Everything on the automation side, but really what we're focused on is a program called the Present Entrepreneur, designed specifically to help entrepreneurs, to help dads cut the time they spend in their business in half so that they can be more present and impactful and powerful at home.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. Because look, one of the reasons we got into business on our own is because we wanted more time with our family. And sometimes, ironically, that's not what happens, right? It ends up being less time with your family. Yeah. But the beauty of creating what you've done in your business is it really is helping people figure out how they can be as productive. And we swing this over to social media. A lot of people, and I'm going to say this, waste time on social media. Yeah. They're not intentional about what they're doing. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. So they struggle through this whole thing. And they end up being, I'm sure you've gotten it. I've gotten it all the time. These very pitchy, sales pitchy DMs, right? Where they direct message you and they say, oh, hey, you connect with them on LinkedIn. And the next thing you know, what happens? They're pitching you. I'm like, I don't even know you.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think you hit something I think is so important and so impactful. It's intentional. There's a quote by a guy named Robert Heinlein that said, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. And I think it's so, so important that we become intentional in what we're doing. And we recognize the tool that is supposed to be social media. You see, it's supposed to be a tool to help us accomplish very meaningful business results in our life. And our business is designed to be able to produce very meaningful business or very meaningful results in our life. They stack on top of each other. And if we don't know what we're trying to create at home, then we don't know what we're trying to create in our business. And therefore, we really don't know what we're trying to do at social media. And just like you said, now we start to shift and wander and waste time and or come up with some crazy, weird sales pitches and DMs that don't mean anything.
Right. And, we talk about storytelling. Like, you are an amazing storyteller, right? You connect with people, and we met through an organization called Master Networks. I talk about it all the time. I have a great connection of people across the country. I'm in New York, Jordan, you're in Texas, right? So, but we've connected and we're doing business together, right? This is where you're getting the cream of the crop around the country, because you're getting to meet and know people and what they do. It's amazing. However, like when I first met Jordan, I didn't pitch him on social media. He didn't pitch me on, Artichoke automation, right? Like, we didn't do that. We got to know each other. He got to know I have kids. I got to know he has kids. We bonded on different levels. And it's one of this acronym we talk about, right? It's build on common interest, bond, BOND, build on common interest, occupation, exploration, oh my gosh, I'm losing it. Do you remember? This is needs discovery and develop opportunity, right? The develop opportunity is where that's the fourth step. It's not the first step. And so when we talk about social media, Jordan, right? These building the relationships on social, like, just out of curiosity, what's your favorite flavor of social? What's your favorite channel or platform?
I do Facebook. That's kind of I don't know about a favorite. I like Instagram because I get to see pictures and cool stuff there. But I think Facebook has given me the channel to bond more, right? Instagram is it's pictures and some text, but I don't get a lot of messages back and forth through there. In Facebook, I've gotten a ton of messages and responses. And so that's the primary one that I use.
Now, do you have a group on there as well?
I do, yes.
Okay.
So we've got a whole community, a whole brotherhood called The Present Entrepreneur. By all means, any entrepreneur dads out there who are wanting to learn tactics, who are wanting to take back their time, their business, and their family using tactic systems and community, come join the group. We would love to have you be a part of it. It is a collaboration. We're all growing. We're all learning together, because it's a team effort.
I love that. And, that's the beauty of these Facebook groups, right? It's really that kind of connecting with people who have similar interests or similar challenges to face or similar problems that they need solved. And, if somebody's gone through the problems already, you can fast forward over some of this stuff, and what's great about it is people who've already experienced this challenge are so willing to help other people who are at the beginning of the challenge. So learn from what I did, right? It's so wonderful to sit down and, I had a meeting with Jordan, and it was just like, hey, what's going on? And, this is where I'm in my business. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And in 15 minutes, he gave me an idea for, a new business idea that I could implement. And it was fantastic. Like, that's the way he gives back to the business community. Even though I'm not a dad, he still helped me.
Yes. And that's the thing. I think the reason why I talk to dads is because I'm a dad and I'm trying to improve myself. But the principles that we talk about, they're applicable to everybody, right? And one of the core values that we have in our family and that we have in business and everything that we do is be selfless, not selfish. It's all about giving to other people. And that's why I think what you had talked about the bond methodology is so impactful, because if all you're worried about is the next dollar, one, it will come across that way and nobody wants to talk to you or do business with you. And two, your life is in this weird bubble where all you're worried about is that next dollar, and nothing good happens that way. But when you develop relationships, when you truly care about other people and are willing to offer value, great things will come as a result of it, right? It's that good juju that you put out into the world. And I think that's super important to recognize on social media. What is that good juju that you're putting out into the world? What is those posts, those messages? But also every single just the other day, I've been really, really intentional about what I post, how I post, messages, content that's being out there. Love learning from Maggie and what she's been teaching me. And it's been amazing how in one day I got 75 friend requests. Now, yes, a lot of those people were trying to sell me something. They're doing digital prospecting, but it's amazing. What I've actually tried to do now is turn the tables a little bit, not like as a sales tactic, like, all right, great, I got an audience now, I'm going to go message them. But I can start to develop a relationship with them. I talked to somebody who was in Uganda the other day, and we had a good conversation about what life is like and what's going on. That's the amazing thing that can happen. And just randomly, somebody that I messaged like 3 weeks ago, and we had a good conversation, left is like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. He messaged me today and said, hey, how can I work with you? The good juju that we put out there, that presence, that bonding methodology that can take place online and in social media, it will turn around and produce meaningful business results if we're intentional about being selfless, not selfish.
I love that. And it's one of the things that we talk about Master Networks as core values. And we talk about the first one is building relationships, right? It's building those strong relationships because when you're, and parlay that into social media. How are we communicating with our people? If you're, imagine you walk into a store, a brick and mortar, and you were bombarded by sales signs and the staff was just pushing at you. Remember, I'm a tad older than you, but at least you'd seen it in the movies, right? Where you'd walk into a department store and these women would be there and they'd be spraying you with perfume, right? Like, and you're like, out of my face, right? Like, what are you doing? I don't want the perfume. I don't like perfume, whatever it is. And if you did want perfume, you'd want to go up to them and, you want to build that conversation. I think a lot of people treat their social like that, right? Instead of using the 80-20 where 80% is you're just being you and sharing information and great content and advice and tips. Like that's what I do on my social, right? I provide so many free tips and advice because people need it. They need to understand what social media is and they need to know how to use it before they understand how I can help them. So the other 20% is the sales. By the way, right? Go here, right? Join the group page, right? Like go to the Facebook page, learn about Jordan personally, go to his Instagram. Sorry, I spelled Instagram wrong. That's what I get for typing without my glasses, right? But this is the way we get to know each other. It's one of the reasons why I created my YouTube channel, right? It's a way to kind of get out into the public. So when you're on a social media platform and you're communicating, what are some of the ways that people can communicate, or what have you seen to be the most effective ways that people are communicating, connecting, and building those strong relationships on various platforms?
Yeah, great question. So I do the digital prospecting. Like I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely one of those people that's going, oh man, this is a good profile. This is a good fit. This could be a good conversation. But I learned something actually really recently in the language that I use when I DM people, right? So I friend request them and then I DM them. But I took it from a mentor of mine, but I also took it from Master Networks. And it changed the way that I viewed this conversation because instead of saying, hey, it's great to meet you and you look like you have an interesting profile, because everybody says that. And instead of saying, hey, I've got this Facebook group, you should come join the brotherhood and join the community, because everybody says that. Instead, what I started saying was, hey, I was poking around Facebook, doing digital prospecting. Like I'm going to call it out right away. And I just said, hey, I'm looking for digital networking opportunities. If you're interested, I'd love to jam sometime and see if there's a potential for us to trade some business or at least just get to know each other a little bit better. And by far, that simple messaging has had way better return on the efforts and the investment that I put into it than anything else. Just using that phrase, digital networking, right?
Yeah.
And if it would be willing to get to know each other and maybe swap business at some point. And it's interesting. I had somebody pop up just the other day who could help a buddy of mine that's been looking. And I told him that. I said, hey, you know what? It's really interesting. I'm glad we connected. I've got a buddy that's exactly in your industry. What do you do? Tell me a little bit more because I'd love to send him over to you if you can help him.
And that's really where it comes down to. We were talking about how you um, connect with people, like you build that common interest. So you already got a common interest when you're talking about, the brotherhood that you've created with dads, right? How they already have that commonality. So you're building on that common interest, right? Because it's all the things, right? It's getting getting them, spending time with them when they need you, not
Yeah.
when you have the time to spend with them.
Right.
I had an incident happen today. My son was had some dental issues. Now look, he's old enough to drive, but you don't want him driving if we didn't know what was going to happen, right? Like, so guess what? I made phone calls. I'm like, hey, I've got to cancel. I've got an emergency in my family. Let's reschedule. And off I went. Within
Yeah.
2 minutes, I was out the door. He was at the dentist in 15, and I was back and rolling at work in an hour later, right? Would I have been able to do that if I had a 9 to 5 job? No,
No.
I couldn't have done it.
Right.
And I look back and I say, and how did I communicate with this person? Guess what?
Yeah.
The place I knew they were going to be, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's social media. So if you're struggling with trying to balance that work, we talk about work and family balance, but look, it's all about making time. Really core,
Right.
I want to make time for my family, or whatever it is. If you don't have family that's a priority, what is a priority in your life?
Yep.
Right? Other than your work. And how, when you start looking at people and connecting with them, what are some of the things, like we talk about prospecting? We do. Like, if they're a good fit for you, right? It's the other way too, right? You're a good fit for them. You can help them solve a problem, right? This is what everybody does. If you listen to sound bites and everything else and mission statements, 9 times out of 10, the word help or some, thesaurus version of help is in a mission statement, right? Or in a sound bite.
Yep.
So if you're helping them through, you're doing, we gotta shift the thing that I'm selling to them, but I'm helping them. So in social media, when you've connected with them and you've sent them a private message, like I do things like, comment on their feeds, like take LinkedIn, for example, right? Because I'm a B2B, right? So LinkedIn is where I like to make relationships, as well as, I do Facebook and Instagram for me are more ways of like sharing free information. Like, here you go, right? Like, here's a great tip. Here's a good, here's a great video, things like that. When I go to LinkedIn and I'm communicating with people, remember, when you comment on somebody else's post, what ends up happening? You're cross promoting yourself on their page.
Right.
But you also don't want to give a thumbs up and, what you want to provide something valuable. So when somebody posts something, maybe share something personal about themselves, right? You want to comment intelligently about that or boost them up, right? It's not about you. Now, remember, your picture's going to come up, your name's going to come up, little description about your business is going to come up. It's just gravy. The key is that you're communicating with them and you're providing that valuable content. So when you direct message them and establish that connection, you're getting positive feedback. Like, can you tell me a story about one of the situations that actually kind of developed into business, or didn't develop into business, but developed into a great relationship?
Well, shoot, I'll tell you about one that happened just yesterday. Now, I don't know exactly where this is all going to play out, but digitally prospected somebody, and they actually ended up joining the group too. And I like video a lot, so I spend a lot of my time instead of, I'll send a quick message, and if they engage back, I actually record just a quick Loom video and just say, hey, what's going on? Super excited to talk. Can't wait to get to know you a little bit more, and do some, some things like that. Like, I like video because I'm terribly dyslexic. So anytime that I can avoid typing, I try to. But from that conversation, or from that little back and forth that we had, found out what he did, found out what he was going to do. And I knew that there was going to be a need in our brotherhood for what he provided. He was an accountant, and he really helped entrepreneurs dial in their bookkeeping, because you talk about one of the things that keeps people up at night. It's like, holy crap, where's my money going? Taxes, finances, all that crap. And it stresses me out. And so we had a conversation about that, about how that could potentially benefit me. But immediately I thought about our brotherhood and our community. And I went, you know what, dude, why don't we hop on and let's do like an interview, almost like we're doing, Maggie, to the group, so that you could share some insights and some knowledge just on that. And legitimately, that would have happened if I hadn't done some digital prospecting. It wasn't about business. It wasn't about selling anybody. And neither was he to me in that case. But it turned around where now we're going to provide some training in our group specifically around bookkeeping content, bookkeeping and accounting and that whole world, just to our network and just to our group, so that they've got that access and that freedom as well.
Right. And we always talk about here, we're all businesses, right? We have similar challenges. We have these, accounting challenges. We have these legal challenges. We have these, client challenges. It's sales and email marketing and newsletters and, and doing social media. It's so funny because I talk about this all the time. Here's the thing. When it comes to, legal issues, you hire a lawyer.
Period.
When it comes to accounting, you hire an accountant.
Yep.
But for some reason, people think you have to write your own newsletters. You have to develop your own CRM. You have to do your own social media. And yes, you should do your own social media, but you should also have somebody who helps you with your social. Right. So you're getting those pictures, you're getting those videos, and they're handling everything for you.
Right.
It's a challenge. It's hard enough to run your own business without having to do every single aspect of your business, especially if you're not an expert in it. Can you share a little bit about, we talk about Go High Level, right? And there's a component in Go High Level, right, that helps you with your social media, correct? Like communicating and working on social.
Yep. Yeah, there is. So like I kind of said before, my background has been in the automation space for a long time. I own, along with President Entrepreneur, I own a company called Artichoke Automation, and is an automation agency. What we do is we help specialize in developing and implementing strategy into the marketing CRMs that are out there these days, Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, ClickFunnels. And then we found one that is, it's the best one on the market, period. It just is. And it's a tool called Go High Level, and it is absolutely amazing. It combines the best tools that are out there these days into one platform. So think about the different things that we usually pay for, right? In a digital space, we have social media, but it's got to point somewhere when they're ready to take that next step. That's a landing page, right? Some sort of software that usually hosts a landing page. We need an email autoresponder. We need an online scheduling link. We need to be able to have a pipeline that we can manage people. We need to do text messaging. All of those different things historically have been their own separate tools. And we've paid $20, $100, $200 in each of these different platforms. And the tool called Go High Level, I do not work for them. I just love what they do. They combine all of those tools into one, so that you're paying one low cost and having the resources that are provided at each of those different levels. Now, the reason why it becomes super, super important is because I truly, truly believe people are where they are. And if we call out where people are, they are on social media, they are on Google, they are on your website, and they are on their phones. That's where they are. The best thing about Go High Level right now is it gives you a way to communicate with them in each of those different platforms. So it has a direct integration with Google My Business, a direct integration with Facebook, Instagram. It has a direct integration, a phone call that could take place, text messaging that can take place. So when we speak specifically for social media and what it can provide, if somebody messages your Facebook page, it can actually pull right into this marketing CRM. It can send them an automated message. Now, I don't recommend that you try and pretend it's you. You send them a message that just says, hey, we're super excited that you messaged us. I actually check my messages once a day because I'm so focused on my family. I check my messages once a day, but I will get to you as soon as I possibly can. I just wanted to let you know I got this. Just that alone has been a game changer for so many businesses, but it can pull right into a marketing CRM, send an automated message, and you can actually reply back and forth directly from this tool. And you can do that same thing with Google My Business, Instagram, any text messages, chat widgets, all of these different things. You've got that power and that ability, as well as the ability to then design automated, personalized experiences the moment you capture their information. Long-term nurture and everything that take place. It's such a powerful tool. It's been a game changer for me and our business, and it can be that for everybody's business. I know it's been for a lot.
You know what I loved about it when you showed me it was the fact that regardless of where the communication came from, it's all under the same client.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't have to wait. Did I email them? Did I Facebook message them? Did I, like, it's just all together. And it also, right, it records your communication as well. So you've got the whole customer journey.
You've got a unified inbox right there on all the communication, both manually and automated.
And it does, look, and there's where you're cutting time in half, right? Because the research that we have to do and the go back and forth and wait a minute, did I talk to them about this? Were they interested in that? And you can, do things along the lines of, segment your audience. So, okay, these people were interested, like in my case, right? Like these people are interested in workshops. These people are interested in, or they're Master Networks members. And these people are, right. You're segmenting your audience so that you're not bombarding them with the wrong message, right? Or I shouldn't say the wrong message, maybe a message that isn't a good fit for them. Is that the right way to
what do they say? They say, right? The worst thing is a good idea at the wrong time. What do they say, right? That's really what this is. You don't have a wrong message, but if you deliver it to somebody who's not interested, or it's not quite the right time for them, then it falls on deaf ears. So not only do you have to get them in, you've got to segment them, you've got to follow up with them and nurture them. You've got to send the right message to the right person at the right time. And I'll be honest, that takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of time unless you use systems, processes, and automation, tools that are already out there that can help segment where people came from, what they've clicked on, what they're interested in, and how they might want to respond as you continue to move them along your client journey.
One of my favorite books is The E-Myth, right? Because it talked about, and when I read it, it was one of those things like, all of a sudden the light bulb goes off, right? Like the light bulb went off for me when I read that book because and it's a very storytelling book, which I loved, right? You follow this person through a journey, very well written, and engaging. Like I could not put it down, right? And what I found with it was, and that's where I went through my journey in my business, where I started to develop a process because I needed to create an experience that was consistent, that, client A is receiving the same kind of experience that client B is, like so they know, oh, when I refer somebody, they're going to get this kind of treatment, right? Or this kind of process. And it also saved me countless hours of what am I doing, right? How am I doing it?
That to me, I think is the key of what you just said too, right? If client A is treated the exact same way as client B and C and D and so on, then think about the mental stress relief that comes when you know exactly what to do. One of the things that I talk about oftentimes is I'll use the phrase, don't be a wishing well, be a greenhouse. Okay. And I like to compare and contrast things together. When you look at what a wishing well is in like mythological lore and stuff like that, right? What do? You go, you toss in a coin, you wish for something, and it just produces whatever you just wished for. Okay. I want a pony. Boom, there's a pony. I want $1 million. Boom, there's $1 million, right? The wishing well's responsibility, when you look at that story in perspective of the wishing well, how exhausting would it be to be that? To constantly have to produce whatever it is that person wished for. Okay. And whoever comes up to it, you just produce it. That's exhausting and it's frustrating. And so often we do that as business owners. We wait until a client comes and we go, okay, what do you want? Oh yeah, I could absolutely do that. Don't worry. I can take care of that. And then we go figure out how to go do it. And then we go produce it. And then the next person comes and we go, what do you want? And it might be similar, but a little bit different. And we go, yeah, I can do that. And I got to go figure out that little tweak. And then I come back to it. But every single client is treated differently and uniquely, and you become a wishing well. Whereas if you're a greenhouse, if we think about what a greenhouse does, a greenhouse builds the perfect environment for a very specific seed. It programs automation, sprinklers. It has, triggers for somebody to come in and give it food and give it, the nourishment that it needs to blossom, right? That seed blossoms into its full potential. And what happens when you've mastered that process? You can produce it over and over and over and over again. Now think about if you own the wishing well compared to about if you own the greenhouse. If a storm happens, you are never, ever worried about your crop not blossoming inside of a greenhouse. Never. Because you've built something that can sustain and last. You've produced something that can happen over and over and over and over again. That's the power of being a greenhouse. And I think that's really, really important as a business for us to take a step back and go, you know what? Am I a wishing well or am I a greenhouse? And if I'm not a greenhouse, what has to be true in order for me to be able to become a greenhouse? Because now I can come in, I can put, I can program it, sprinklers happen, everything happens, and I walk away and guess where I go? I go to my family and I spend time with them. I go actually try and, we'll use the seed analogy. I go and actually spend time and grow the seed, the children, the relationships with my wife, our spouse, and everybody else that actually matters most. That's the power of being a greenhouse.
Absolutely. And it's again saying using tools, look, I've been in IT for over 35 years, right? I have seen technology come and go.
Yep.
All right. I, installed servers, and then servers, and big mainframes I worked on, right? And tape reels, the whole 9 yards, right? And seeing how what's in my phone right now is probably about 800 times more powerful than a mainframe that would have housed, been in a huge room, right? As technology progresses, I think we're getting more and more like before, right? Think about Facebook, a mere, let's go back to 2010. Okay. Facebook, was Instagram here? No, right? You only had one platform.
Yep.
Now, and of course, LinkedIn was there before all of them. And people seem to forget that LinkedIn is one of the oldest ones.
Yep.
It is this kind of thing where we start saying, okay, I got to be on LinkedIn. I got to be on Instagram. I got to be on Facebook. I got to be on Twitter. I've got to be on TikTok. I've got to be on Google. I've got it right. And how do you manage that effectively? Because you do want to meet people where they are. You want to build those relationships. But I love the greenhouse analogy because I think that's where with my business, I could do a lot of things. I could design websites. I can do newsletters. I can do email marketing. I can do PR. I can do all this stuff. But when it comes down to it, where does my passion lie?
Yep.
And it lies in the social media space because between my experience in entertaining and my experience in tech, right, and my love of talking to people, just like you, Jordan, right? Like, this is where I flourish. That's where I'm going to grow. And that's where I can help other businesses grow. And I would love for you to just share. I've got one more question. If you would entertain me with this one more question. So you've got to tell me, because now you have a boy and a girl, correct?
I've got 4. I've got 2 boys. I've got 2 boys and 2 girls.
Holy cow. Okay. So what is your favorite thing to do with your kids?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Okay. So if you'll indulge me, then I've got 4. So it means I've got 4.
You've got 4 answers.
So I've got 4 answers. Okay.
Because they're each unique. Remember that. My
Yeah.
mother used to say, one of her doctors, she had 7. I was one of 7. And she used to say, on your hand, you have 5 fingers. And each of the 5 fingers is different. And they do something different. And they act differently. Yep. So do your kids. Even though they all came from the same place, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're all unique. So my son is 8 years old, almost 9, and football is everything for him. So he grew up when I was coaching football in college. I played college. So we had him when I was finishing my last year playing college, and he had to come with me every day because we couldn't afford daycare. So he came with me. He grew up in a weight room. He grew up in a locker room. So one of our favorite things to do, and it's a real, okay, I got to go on a tangent then for a second. If you're a dad, really, really, really powerful advice. Your favorite thing to do with your kids should have way more of an effect on what their favorite thing to do is than your favorite thing to do.
Okay? I agree. That's wonderful. It goes for dads or moms.
Yep. Such a powerful shift in language, right? Because for instance, so for my son, it just so happens that we both like football a lot. So we love playing catch, and we love, going and training and doing all those different things. He probably doesn't love running and training and getting ready for practice the same way that I might as a football coach. But our favorite thing to do, my favorite thing to do, which he comes and asks me every day, which is, hey, Dad, can you help me with my catches? Can you help me with my catches today? Hey, Dad, can we keep working on this? And it's about 10 minutes. And every single day, no matter what's going on in work, if I can step away and there's times where I'm like, oh, buddy, I can't do it right now. And then I got to eat that. And I'm like, that's stupid. What is more important than that right now? So then I go do it, and I always feel better. So I love playing catch with him. My daughter, so my second, she is 6 in a few weeks. She's 5, almost 6. She's our gymnast. And my favorite thing to do with her is we do dance parties. We love doing dance parties. And it's often—
I want to come to a dance party.
Yeah, right. So it's on our way usually to gymnastics. And I don't get to do it often because my wife was a gymnastics coach. So she likes to go and wants to make sure that everything's going well and stuff like that. But every once in a while, I get a chance to drive her, and we crank up Taylor Swift, and we do a dance party in the car, and we do that whole thing. So that's our favorite thing to do. Our number 3, who is 3, she loves horseback riding. Super random, sports, and then horseback riding. We came to Texas, and she said, I want to be a roper, and I want to be barrel racing, and I want to do that. And I'm like, holy crap, a 3-year-old already knows this. This is pretty cool. So we signed her up for horseback riding lessons. And my favorite thing to do in the world is sit down and watch her do it.
That's beautiful.
It was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I went, she did her first ever barrel racing practice, which literally anybody, I could have a broken leg and I still walked faster than this horse was moving at the time. But the horse was just slowly going around the barrels and then finally came back. And it was funny too. She asked the coach, she said, hey, his name is Mr. Chuck, for Finley Farms in Texas. But she said, is the horse supposed to be going faster? And he said, let's just figure out how to get around the barrels first. So yeah, that's so much fun. And then our 4th right now, he is literally 9 weeks old. So, just hanging with him. And
just hang with him.
Yeah, hang with him and watch him smile and do that whole thing. That's what it's all about. Those 4 things.
I used to love story time when they were that age, because it's just about the getting to know each other, and learning who they're going to become, and where they are in their journey.
Yeah, they have their personality already. It's there.
Yeah.
And they're learning it as we're learning it at the same time.
Yeah, but nurturing it again. And look, we talk, here is our journey. Why did I ask Jordan that question? Because you need to get to know who he is, right? This is a big part of his life, is his family. So when you look at your social media and your relationships that you're building on social, open yourself up to that kind of experience, because you're getting this whole new perspective on the person. Because people don't buy from businesses, they buy from people.
Yep.
Right? You will invest your hard-earned money with somebody that we talk about know, like, and trust, right? You want to get to know that person, you want to like that person, you want to do business with them because they have a great product. But when it comes down to it, if you're not a nice person, you're not going to want to do business with that person, are you? No. I'm a New Yorker. We got to deal with a lot of stuff up here, right? But Don't just blame it on New York, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of wonderfully nice people up in New York.
Yep,
Yeah.
there are. I love the phrase, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. I don't think oftentimes we stop and we say as a business owner, I like selling to people I know, like, and trust. It goes both ways. We want to be able to do that, right?
Right.
We want to know, like, and trust them just as much. And it's a building relationship. That's really what this whole thing is. It's bonding, but in a digital way now. That's the power of what social media gets to bring for us.
And I love that. And I think we need to repeat that, right? Like you're networking online, you're networking through your socials. My favorite thing to say is don't forget social media is meant to be social, right?
Yes.
It's the social aspect that is the stumbling block for people. When you're creating your post, people keep that in mind. Don't say, this is what I want you to know.
Yeah.
Say, what do my followers need to know? Ask them. Don't be afraid. Just say, hey, when I wrote this post, I thought about you. And you can do it in a DM, right? So that it has a more personal touch to it. When I wrote this post, I thought about you. I'd really like to know, what are your opinions on this? Or what do you think about this? Like, did it resonate with you? Like, create those conversations and then they'll say, wow, they thought about me when they wrote this. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Maggie, can I touch on one thing? I know we're probably
absolutely.
That's okay.
Yeah, but you're amazing. So go for it.
Here's what I've recognized, and I'm going to speak specifically for me, although I've seen it with others. But for me, here's what I've recognized. Why do we jump to be salesy? Why do we jump to just try and get the next dollar on social media, right? So a couple different thoughts. So kind of stay with me for a second, right? But we don't know exactly what we want to build in our family. So we don't know what we need to have to do inside of our business, which means we flounder inside of social media. But here's what I've recognized. So the whole purpose of our group and our community is called the Present Entrepreneur, right? And it's about becoming present and impactful with our families, present at the dinner table. That's where that phrase first came to mind. How can we be present at the dinner table? Here's what I've recognized. As a business owner, if you're worried or stressed about putting food on the table, you can never be present at it. Now, how does that relate to social media? If you're worried or stressed about putting food on the table, oftentimes we jump right to the kill. Oftentimes we jump right to, hey, can we do business? Hey, this is what I'm up to. Hey, here's me, right? Because we have to provide. The world teaches us that as an entrepreneur, my value is tied to my direct ability to put food on the table. It's tied to the size of my bank account. But we have to shift our mentality. That's the really, 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 really hard thing to do. When we find ourselves truly in that moment going, crap, how in the world will I put food on that table? We have to stop in that moment and focus on the little things. My son, just the other day, we were talking about panicking situations. He's in a wrestling match right now and he panicked and he got pinned. We talked about how to get over that. And we referenced David and Goliath. How did David say Goliath? We focused back again. He focused in a really, really, really powerful way on the small things. So when you find yourself in that situation and you look at your own content and you're like, oh man, I'm being very salesy, ask yourself, is it because you're worried about putting food on the table? And in those moments, just focus on the details, focus on the little things, really narrow it down and just go, right. I'm here for you. That's what I'm going to focus on. And great things will come back. It will come back. Absolutely. I promise. It will come back to you.
And it's a wonderful thing to keep front of mind because you are, it's The Go-Giver, another amazing book, right? Where abundance comes to you, like the universe rewards you, whatever you believe in, right? Like karma, the universe, God, yep. whatever it is, being kind, being a good person, being a valuable resource, right? And then you start realizing these things come back to you tenfold.
And it's a choice. That's the thing I've recognized. And I always try and instill in my children is By nature, I'm probably not the most selfless person, but I can choose to be that. By nature, we might want to be more salesy, but you can choose something different. Like, it's a choice that you've got to remind yourself of every day. Just like you said, it can be front of mind by choosing to be front of mind. So just choose that, right? That's the power of what this gets to be.
So I want to thank Jordan. He dropped some intense knowledge on us today. I hope you found today's episode helpful. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, follow us, subscribe to us, contact Jordan. Make sure you visit The Present Entrepreneur. Here's the link right here. It's also going to be in the comments below, along with information about Go High Level if you're interested in learning about that amazing tool. This is his personal Facebook, so you can connect with him there, or his Instagram, depending on your favorite flavor. And remember, here at Master It Media, we're always providing information that you can use and implement into your business as it pertains to social media. We want your brand to explode on social. So if you follow us on Instagram, you're going to get a lot of free advice and ways to promote yourself on social media, as well as at the recording of this, we're over 175 videos on YouTube. So there's tons of things to learn about social media. We try to micro topic it as much as possible, but y'all know social media is changing every day. So there's going to be a new platform coming out. There's going to be new changes. Jordan was telling me about new changes coming up for a high level as it pertains to social. Yep. So if you want to know what that is, we're not telling you here. You need to contact Jordan and he will tell you in person, right, Jordan?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Master It Monday. Remember, we're here every Monday at 2:00. We drop at Eastern. We drop a new video. So if you need help, make sure you stop by and visit us, because remember, at Master It Media, we're here to help you take the commotion out of your promotion. I'll see you next Monday. Have a great day, everyone. And Jordan, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.